Don't look at me and don't think about anything. I want to ask you a question. When you came pulling in here, did you notice a sign out in the front of my house that said dead?
Quentin Tarantino, a small indie director with a pretty limited catalogue of films, most known for his love of film.
I'm a film geek. My opinion is everything. You can all disagree with me, I don't care.
And the obvious joke about his favourite body part, and his ability to make every conversation incredibly awkward.
So if he'd have sent me something that I plug into my computer, I don't know if I would have ever heard it. Alright, hey, download this, I don't know how to do that.
Quentin Tarantino is known for creating some absolute bangers in regards to movies. Kill Bill, Django Unchained, and a little film, I don't know if you've heard of it, called Pulp Fiction.
Huh?
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it either, if I'm honest. However, today I want to focus on a film written by Tarantino, but not directed by him. And that film is...
Have two people been so good at being
bad? True romance.
True Romance is directed by Tony Scott, director of Top Gun and True Romance. The story follows a man named Clarence, a 90s incel who works at a comic book store when he has a run-in with Alabama in a local movie theatre. After the movie, he drops the hottest line a man has ever said to a woman.
You want to see what Spider-Man #1 looks like?
You bet.
And then they're married. Alabama turns out to have pronouns and Clarence doesn't really like that.
I was a call girl. Call girls have pimps.
So he confers with Elvis on the matter and decides to retire her pimp.
Bitch walking around breathing the same air as you. Shoot him in the face. Put him down like a dog.
I can't believe what you're telling me.
And in doing so retrieves Alabama's belongings. Which turns out to be a big suitcase full of cokie, or yayo if you're Colombian. So, in all his wisdom, Clarence decides to keep the cokie, since he literally shot a man's dick off for it, and he's gonna sell it, the only way he knows how, to a big shot movie director. But of course, the cokie belonged to the Italian mob. Man, I thought my Mondays were pretty bad. So just to give you the rundown in this video, I'm going to spoil some pretty key scenes from True Romance, so if you'd like to watch this film without knowing too much, I'd probably suggest watching this video after, but it has been out for nearly 30 years now, so if you want to stick around, then I hope you enjoy the video. When we're introduced to Clarence, it's very clear he's a big fan of Kung Fu, good movies, and Elvis. He even goes as far as to say he'd touch Elvis's ding-dong if he really had the chance to.
If my life depended on it, I'd fuck Elvis.
And he seems quite used to being rejected by women.
You want to take me to a kung fu movie?
3 kung fu movies.
I don't think so.
I think Clarence as a character really serves his purpose to the movie. Like, Christian Slater does a great job of portraying Clarence trying to be this hard man that you would love to watch on screen, and weirdly knowing how to handle situations of an illegal nature. I guess it isn't just video games that make people violent, is it?
I said open your fucking eyes!
Another thing about Clarence is, I love that he has conversations with the king. Like, Elvis is used in this movie whenever Clarence needs approval for his actions, or for when he's about to commit something pretty heinous. Think of it as the angel and devil on Clarence's shoulder, but he only has the devil in the form of Elvis. Isn't that meant to be a whole thing about Elvis and devil? Like, I don't know, I'll have to look it up. And for Alabama, much like the state, she's a bit of a mess when we first meet her. She comes across as a confused character who doesn't really know what she wants from life until she meets Clarence and kind of discovers her world. I think Alabama is a great character alongside Clarence and really completes the Bonnie and Clyde feel of this movie. I mean, the chemistry really helps with this, but still.
Babaloo, you were perfect.
Like a ninja?
Like a ninja. I'm gonna go grab us something to eat, alright?
Another thing that I really like about Alabama, in regards to like the 90s when you had Sarah Connor being a badass, it's nice to see Alabama also being kind of like that, not as ripped, but she is like no stranger to sorting someone out if she really needs to, and I just really like that. It's cool. All in all, both of these characters trying to basically be 90s Bonnie and Clyde, it works. Like, they are great. I just love the chemistry they have with each other, as I've already mentioned. Everything that they have to do together just to actually get through the movie is really cool. As far as the writing goes, this is what Tarantino's known for, aside from being a director and someone who really likes people's feet. But he's very skilled at making tension-filled scenes and very engaging storylines. Take, for example, the suitcase of Koki in True Romance. It's a great MacGuffin. It really helps to put the viewer through the story with an absolute understanding of what is actually going on and what the characters are really trying to achieve. Or when Clarence is eating that burger and he comments on how good it is.
The best goddamn fucking hamburger I ever had in my entire life. I've never had a hamburger taste this good.
Doesn't this happens in Pulp Fiction too, right? So I'd think I'd be doing a little bit of a disservice if I didn't mention some of the noticeable quirks or recycled concepts, if you will, in terms of Tarantino's writing. Like the suitcases, the reuses of surnames for his characters, and just white dudes saying racial slurs. But this doesn't mean True Romance is free from any of this stuff. Like, Lee Donowitz, a character in True Romance, has the same surname as Donnie Donowitz from Inglourious Basterds. But this doesn't mean I'm trashing on Tarantino's writing or anything. Well, except for the racism, because that just feels like an excuse for well-known actors to drop the N at this point. I think the recycling of surnames is a great way to world build and makes the world feel more lived in and alive, is what I would say if I was an IGN reviewer. Something worth mentioning is the tension in some of the scenes, like when the mob get involved and you have the presence of Christopher Walken just with his +10 in intimidation, just delivering threats as casual as a food order, and James Gandolfini, who's also in this by the way, also dishing out the coolest line ever. It's literally as cool as a witch's tit.
Now the first time you kill somebody, that's the hardest. First one is tough, no fucking fooling. Second one ain't no fucking Mardi Gras either, but it's better than the first one because you still feel the same thing, you know? Except it's more diluted, you know, it's better. I drew up on the first one, you believe that? Now I do it just to watch the fucking expression change.
And not long after delivering that extremely cool line, he ends up being hotter than Satan's booty hole. Which is pretty ironic, I must add. In Clarence, he does some pretty serious stuff in effort of keeping him and Alabama alive, and he just looks so cool while doing it. And as time has gone on, Tarantino has only gotten better at writing these very intense scenes. Like I mentioned before in Inglourious Basterds, that has one of the most tensest scenes I've ever witnessed in any of Tarantino's films. And if you've seen it, you probably know what I'm referencing, even though I'm literally showing it right now on screen.
You're sheltering them underneath your floorboards, aren't you? Yes.
But like a lot of things, I find it super interesting just to see the beginning of someone's catalogue, whether that be a director or a YouTuber. Just seeing this movie really shows the early stages of Tarantino's writing, and it's very insightful to see. I think you should just watch this film alone just because of that, really. It's just so fun to see someone's early stages of writing and what's stuck with their creative process going forward.
Hello, and welcome to my review!
I've been talking about this movie as if it's like God's gift to Earth, but let's be real for a minute, nothing's perfect. This isn't a 5 out of 5 film, it's definitely a 4, at least. The only bad thing I can really say about this movie is that the romance feels a bit rushed, which is kind of funny for a film called True Romance. Weirdly, the romance is not really important. Well, not the setup at least. Like I mentioned briefly earlier, the meeting and the next day they get married. Like honestly, I just believe the film's trying to set up the Bonnie and Clyde relationship without taking up too much of your time to establish it. Because at the end of the day, like, you're here and you just want to watch an action romance film. So I guess they can just set up the relationship as fast as possible and then just develop the relationship through the hardships that they're going to go through, whether it be violent or something really cute like going on a little roller coaster of each other. You could also just chalk their relationship up to love at first sight, which I guess is a little bit underwhelming. The chemistry kind of helps with that, and I'm sick of mentioning the chemistry of these two in this film. However, in true Tarantino fashion, I decided to look up the definition of romance, because he is known for doing this, and it actually kind of helps to cement the relationship of Clarence and Alabama, because the definition, as it states, is a feeling of excitement and mystery associated with love. So if I was handing in my English homework about this film, I guess I could really say that Clarence and Alabama's relationship is just new and exciting for them both, and they're basically mysteries to each other, and not knowing what each other are capable of, further adding to the mystery. And by the end of the film, they know each other better than they ever did. After all, isn't that what a relationship based on true romance really is? Yeah, I would have got an F- for that. Truthfully though, The relationship in the film is a bit rushed, and that is fine, like I say, because it is just a Bonnie and Clyde story. It's just meant to be an action romance film, and that's exactly what you get with it, really. But that, like I say, it's the only bad thing I can really say. So let's move on to the conclusion, I guess. Overall, for a Bonnie and Clyde story set in the 90s, it's absolutely solid. Like, the concept of Clarence having Elvis as a yes man, and Alabama going from Ashley Graham to Leon Kennedy within an hour, it's just a great watch. The story has great set pieces which are kinda unique to this film in my opinion, and even though they might potentially be lifted from some foreign language or B-movie that no one else has saw, except for Tarantino. He is known for doing this, by the way. And the amount of people just tracking Clarence in Alabama just really adds to the tension for a pretty satisfying conclusion. You should really check this film out. It's probably at CEX for 30p at this point, so what's stopping you, really? Either way, this is the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, make sure to leave a little like. That really motivates me to make more. And if you dislike it, that also motivates me as well. So do whichever one feels better. And feel free to subscribe, it's just down there, I guess. This is a much longer video than what I would normally post, which is normally just a shit post. So for me, this is just a W, really. It feels funny to make a long length video as opposed to a 20-second one. But anyways, thanks for checking out the video today, and I'll see you in a little bit.